Yeah, I was talking to some of your colleagues, and I know a U.S.-based IT company that's been sourcing Colombia talent, and their CTO was crying to me. He said, we hire these people, and before they start in 2 weeks, they got a better offer, and they call us and they say, no, they doubled our offer. Well, I'm not going to come to work for you.
True.
And so the talent shortage is global. Now, it's interesting because who would have thought that we'd look back to the good old days of the pandemic, right? People wondered, well, we had 2020 and 2021, and this pandemic, and as that starts to moderate a little bit, now we have war in Europe, and between two cyber hacking powers, two countries that have very developed capabilities when it comes to that. Are you seeing a difference in activity when it comes to malicious activity now, let's say this year in 2022? Is there any correlation between malicious internet activity, let's say security attempts and things like that, that would correlate with the hostilities that are happening in Eastern Europe right now?
See, I think the way I'm looking at it right now, that cyber warfare, and they had always existed, but
right.
Essentially the thing was that information has become so critical now that information is completely digitized, and you live in a digital world where everything is connected. We are kind of going more and more digital every day. You are working with a lot of your ecosystem, which is digitally you're working with your ecosystem, and you're exposing. So the number of threat vectors have increased over a period of time. Now, if you want to look at what has really happened in pandemic, no one was leaving behind, even hospitals, even your critical operations, and there were attacks on critical operations. There were attacks on hospitals.
Right.
There were attacks on legal firms. So essentially, the hackers have gone more and more towards the core infrastructure. They are trying to attack your OT systems, like what happened in the US gas pipeline attack, or what happened in the attack on the OT side for the meat production industry in Latin America. These are the kind of attacks which are getting into more malicious in nature. They are getting into more like human side, because there is a human risk here.
Yeah, right? In a hospital,
Yeah, so this is a human risk attack. So essentially they're getting more sophisticated, they're getting more targeted, they're getting more on the critical infrastructure. As well as on the IT side, it was just more about information and data protection, and you have maybe a brand reputation risk, or you have a data risk, or you have ransomware attack. But when it goes to the OT side, it becomes human risk. So I think what has become is that the attacks have become more sophisticated, more targeted, and more critical in nature now. And that's kind of the reason that organizations have to be more prepared for cybersecurity. They have to invest in cybersecurity. They have to think it more strategically, not only just on the IT side, but also on the OT side. And I think it is going to become as a tool for a warfare, which is going to impact the economies, because that's what is happening. For so long, there has been a lot of IP breaches.
Yeah.
And IP has been taken out from many countries and taken to other countries. That has always been happening. So it's now getting more and more prominent, and that's kind of where we have to invest more and be more secure, or ensure that at least we are trying to protect ourselves as much as possible.
Understood.